morning, and thank you for attending our press conference. Today, the Sault Ste. Marie Police Service, along with our partners from the RCMP and the Anishinabek Police Service, are working on arrests as part of a joint forces drug project. Let me introduce our representatives here today. We have Chief Robert Keach from the Sault Ste. Marie Police Service. We have Chief John Surratt from the Anishinabek Police Service, Corporal Mike Dubé from the RCMP, and Staff Sergeant Jody Greco from the Sault Ste. Marie Police Service. Going to be turning the podium shortly over to Chief Keach. After Chief Keach is done, we will open the area up to questions and answers. And so what I'm going to ask is when it comes to Q&A, if we can just go one at a time, raise your hands.
Can we look at a scrum setting? Because I've got to get back to the station.
We can certainly do that as well. If that works, we can certainly look at doing a scrum to accommodate. If that works for everybody. And again, when it comes to the scrums, I'll just ask that everybody kind of in a timely manner, please limit how we are with numbers and questions, and I will shut it down time-wise because we are a few things on time constraints here as well. When you leave, Constable Miller has a media release that he will hand out to you, and there will be a later release following later this afternoon with names as well. So this time I'm going to turn over to Chief Keach.
Good morning. In April of this year, the Sault Ste. Marie Police Service, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and Anishinabek Police Service teamed together to address the illicit drug trade in the city of Algoma District through a collaborative Joint Forces Drug Unit initiative. This unit consists of one officer from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, one officer from Anishinabek Police Service. Boy, I struggle with that. I'm going to learn that. You're going to teach me that. And three officers from the Sault Ste. Marie Police Service, including one sergeant. The joint force operation is another excellent illustration of the results which we can achieve when working together, sharing resources, best practices, and information in the name of increasing community safety. I wish to publicly recognize and acknowledge each of these police services who have demonstrated the courage to share the responsibility for safety and well-being of our community and its residents. I wish to also acknowledge the dedication and commitment of each of the members assigned to this project. I know personally the impact that an assignment to a joint force operation like this can have on your personal, professional, and family life. Your efforts certainly have not gone unnoticed or unappreciated. Early this morning, officers from the three agencies began making arrests at the conclusion of a joint forces project titled Project Reno. This is the second successful initiative for this unit. Earlier this year, Project Cooper focused on cocaine distribution in the city and surrounding area. That project resulted in significant marijuana and cocaine seizures with a street value in excess of $300,000. Project Reno was a different type of investigation in that it focused on street-level drug trafficking. Although the dollar figures associated with the project are not as substantial, the negative impact that street-level illicit drug trafficking has within our communities and neighborhood safety is equally as destructive. This joint forces project focused mainly on the downtown area of the city. However, offenses took place in Garden River as well. This initiative has resulted in 15 individuals being charged with various trafficking offenses. Those arrested range in age from 19 years to 64 years of age. During the project, officers purchased cocaine, marijuana, morphine, Percocets, and fentanyl from local individuals. Project Reno commenced as the Sault Ste. Marie Police Service was launching its community policing initiative in partnership with community partners out of the Neighborhood Neighborhood Resource Center on Gore Street. Enforcement is identified as a critical component of the community mobilization and engagement model of community policing which we were undertaking. Community mobilization involves working with community agencies and residents to deal with the underlying issues such as the addiction and mental health issues, but it involves targeting criminal activity as well. Although enforcement is a critical component of any strategy, we must also ensure that we undertake intervention and prevention activities as well. The new community policing model identifies that before we can successfully engage and mobilize neighborhood residents, we must make it safe for them to work with police and community partners. Today's successful project is a concrete step towards improving safety within our local neighborhoods and building a platform for residents to engage in neighborhood activities to improve community safety and well-being. I pledge to members of our local community that the Sault Ste. Marie Police Service, in partnership with our policing partners, will use all legislation afforded to us to address the significant challenge and threat to safety and well-being that illicit drug activity presents within our neighborhoods and in our community. I also commit to work collaboratively with our community partners in prevention and intervention strategies as well. So just to sum it up, I want to again acknowledge the assistance that our policing partners have provided in this initiative. I want to extend my sincere appreciation to those officers that have been assigned to the unit and took some steps this morning to illustrate that fact. And again, I'm appreciative of the media taking an opportunity to attend the press conference. I'm very aware of the critical role that you play in partnership with police in ensuring well-being and safety in our community, and the fact that that's a symbiotic relationship in the sense of their benefits, both of us. So open it up to questions of any of the individuals or agencies that are in attendance here today.
Yeah, you know what, we'll do scrum. I think we've got everybody, we'll
You
get
guys
you.
want to come up?
Anyone that has to leave first, because then I'm assuming we're probably going to interview them first, or is they're all leaving at the same time?
They're all leaving at the same time.
Okay. All right, Anishinabek, I didn't catch your name. I'll interview you first while they're interviewing the chief here, and then, so I imagine everyone's going to be getting interviewed, so just come over here if you don't mind.
Project started in March.
Yeah, it's been a 5-month initiative that we've undertaken to address street-level drug activity within our local community and outlying areas as well.
When were the arrests made?
The arrests are actually taking place today, so today's the culmination of that project. We've got officers actively out arresting the individuals that have been identified in the traffic incidents that we're bringing before the courts.
How many arrests?
There's 15 individuals and 37 charges that we're processing at this point in time.
But how many have been arrested at this point?
I'm told as I walked in that 6 were presently in custody, the others were actively out seeking.
Where are they from?
I believe the majority of them are from the local Sault Ste. Marie area or city of Sault Ste. Marie.
How many were selling on the reserve?
That's a question better.
Anishinabek.
Yeah, please.
You didn't put a dollar figure to it. You said it was a lot smaller than Project Cooper.
Yeah, the information that I have, we're still cataloging all the drugs that were seized, but it's roughly in the area of $20,000 worth street-level drugs that were purchased.
Yes, some quantities you can
drugs?
mention?
Like, was it mostly cocaine?
Yeah, cocaine, marijuana, Percocets, morphine, and fentanyl were the drugs that were purchased during the initiative.
What impact do you expect these arrests are going to have on drug traffic in the city?
Well, again, you tend to see 2 types of drug activity, large scale and then street level. Both have a detrimental impact within our community, so this was specifically targeted at street level drug activity. So again, we hope that it notifies those individuals that choose to do that type of activity that the police will use all means afforded to us to identify them, charge them, and bring them before the courts.
And how did you go about this operation?
Yeah, don't want to get into specific details relative to it. I can tell you that it was purchases of the drugs which I've described by officers, but other than that, the matters are before the court, and we don't want to speak to specifics.
You're saying it was the opening of the Gore Street Centre that kind of prompted this investigation as a sign of what, support in the downtown area for those residents?
Yeah, and that's one of the concerns that was identified in speaking with the residents was the amount of illicit drug activity. And again, when we look at the model that we use for community policing, enforcement is a critical component of it, although not the entire strategy. So we're not defaulting to enforcement, but one of the things the model teaches you is if you're looking to engage and mobilize residents, you need to make it safe for them to partner with the police. So they've identified illicit drug activity in those neighborhoods as a concern, we've taken concrete steps to identifying and charging those individuals and decreasing that risk associated with that activity.
You said this was the first concrete step to doing that. What do you mean by that?
Well, the initiative, the Neighborhood Resource Center out of Gore Street is a long-term investment by police and community partners in addressing increasing community well-being and safety. So there's an ongoing strategy with regard to that. It revolves around the community policing model, and then the community is looking at implementing a framework for community well-being and safety within Sault Ste. Marie. There's concrete steps that are being taken early next week in relation to that with our community partners.
So what's next? This is the first step.
In relation to illicit drugs, or in relation to the overall strategy of improving community safety and well-being?
Well, you're talking about downtown, so let's talk about what's next for the downtown
Well, I
area.
mean, downtown is about identifying risk factors. So the risk factors associated with criminal activity are exactly the same as poor health outcomes, poor education outcomes. So it's a collaborative initiative. Some revolves around enforcement, others are around social development, some around prevention, some around risk intervention, and always a component in relation to enforcement.
What's this do in terms of the amount of drugs, though, that you're hearing about down there?
Well, hopefully it's going to make a dent in individuals that were actively trafficking in that area, and deter other individuals potentially from that lifestyle as well.
And talk about the team that was involved in this project?
Yeah, it's a joint force operation in relation to, there's 3 partners, the Sault Ste. Marie Police Service, obviously, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and the Anishinabek Police Service are all partners in that ongoing joint forces operation. So although this was a specific project that was undertaken, it was undertaken under the auspices of that ongoing JFO.
And there was 1 each from your partners and 3 from the
3
city
from
police?
the Sault Ste. Marie Police Service, a sergeant and 2 constables.
Okay.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, Brian.